What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
In the House of Craze, we have another, guest, Mr. Gary Chong. He's going to talk stargazers. Stargazers. I see you have stargazers there, but stargazers, and we're going to be talking about projects that are terminated and why.
Oh,
So that'll be coming up in just a few minutes. But before that,
I must break you. Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and I am with
George the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. It is Friday, September 23rd, and we have another guest with us tonight that we are going to be talking to him about his project that he will be releasing soon, I think as early as next month on Kickstarter for you guys. So make sure you sign up to the page that is live right now. And we are also going to be talking about, get your meds, and we're going to do some indie news. But before we do all that, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, comment below, hit the bell so you know when we go live. We have another show called The Morning Brew with the Crazy Crew that goes on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out as well. But yeah, my friend, we have sponsors, baby. Talk to us about those sponsors, Sammy.
Yeah, man. Thank you to Tech the Gods. TechNeGods.com. That's Technique. Technique. So TECHINI Gods. GODS.com. Yes, they have a fantastic series, Tech the Gods. The book is fantastic. If you want to know more about the books, go to the What's in the Box segments. I featured every single issue so far, but pick up a book yourself. Go get a copy. These guys are on fire. This team is doing their thing. So check out techthegods.com, and thank you, Tech the Gods, for sponsoring Catch the Craze podcast.
That's right. And if you want to be a sponsor on the show, Sam, how do people do that?
If you want to be a sponsor of Catch the Craze, all you have to do is hit the link in the summary.
Okay.
That's it. Hit the link and it'll give you an option. Check your shopping cart and pick which one works for you. And that's as simple as that. And just follow the instructions. Basically, you get a week, a month sponsorship, and all you do is send us a 30-second commercial, or send us a script and we will read it online. Like our next sponsor who'll be coming up later on in the show, where they sent us a script and we'll read the script out loud for to promote their show.
That's right. So we have that going on. Thank you very much to all of the subscribers. Thank you very much to the sponsors of the show. We're trying to grow the show, and you are helping in doing that. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Word up. Word to Big Bird. But Sammy, you know what? Enough of the introductions. Enough of the pleasantries. Why don't we go into indie news, bro?
Indie news.
Yeah, why not? Let's just do it.
Tops in the Bronx. Fingers like me.
One day people are gonna be like, "Yo, what is that, dude?" Google it.
Go to the almighty Google. It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Go to the almighty Google. Google that bad boy. You'll see what we're talking about.
I'm telling you, Google's probably this little crazy freaking Einstein-looking dude behind a computer, right? Looks like an accountant.
Indie news, Sam. So we are indies and we have news.
Yes.
What's the news that we have for people out there? What you got? What you
No
got?
news is good news with Gary Canoes. I'm just saying. So the news is that we are in the first week of There's an Alien in My Toilet on Kickstarter. So I can't say have you signed up. I can't ask you that question anymore. I can ask, are we funded?
or you can ask, can you please pledge?
Pledge. Have you backed? Did you back? Did you unlock this book? Do these monsters on Planet Cthulhu?
Has that happened?
This is a stretch goal of $2,500. If we unlock this, it unlocks this comic book that you can add to your basket. It becomes an add-on that you can add to your basket on top of Chihuahua, which is the third issue of There's an Alien in My Toilet, where Duty finally gets into the house. He meets a Chihuahua named Herman, who thinks he's a talking jalapeno. And he is being tracked by the government. There's a whole lot of nonsense going on. Right. Duty is overwhelmed, right? And then, he eventually realizes that, Duty is, in the buff, right? Yeah. So, he freaks out. So there's a whole lot going on there. But then there's Duty's Monsters of Planet Cthulhu. It's a second issue, standalone issue. It's a mini series. This is part 1 of 3. And you can get this great adventure series where Duty goes up against this mythical creature named Cthulhu in the Outer Rim. How can Cthulhu be in 2 places at once? He's supposed to be locked up in the oceans of Earth, but yet he's in a planet in the Outer Rim. How is it possible? And Duty doesn't know what he's getting himself into, but he's going over there to face him. So check that out. Have you pledged? If you haven't done so already, do so now. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It is fantastic.
Right. That's right. And because we are in the past, to you guys, recording in the present for us, for the future, we don't know exactly how many backers have already. Listen, we had a live launch on Tuesday. Thank you everyone for joining.
How did that
go? Listen, I think it was phenomenal. I'm going to make a prediction. I think the book was funded during the show. Okay, I think the book was funded during the show, and I predict that we are about $100 away from unlocking that stretch goal. That's what I'm predicting.
Wow, we got Nostradamus in the house.
3 days in, and you are already at 2,400. 2,400. Okay, this is what I'm predicting. So, let's make that happen, guys. Let's make that happen. More money. Make me Nostradamus. Make that happen. And
there's more.
The anticipation is real. Here's the thing. We don't know what that cover is going to look like, because I know we had a conversation and you are having thoughts about changing the cover to Chihuahua. So we don't know if that's the cover that you're going to get, the one that you just flashed on the screen. It may be a different cover.
It could have been.
I don't know. That's the fun about recording these shows so far in advance, that we really don't know what's going to happen. But those are my predictions. That's my prediction.
Right. You know what? I'm not even going to predict anything. I'm just going to say, you know what? We're in the past. And in the past right now, as of this moment, I just want to say thank you again. So you'll probably hear me say it again multiple times, but thank you to the 109 of you who have signed up today. As of today, I appreciate you, and I hope that you come along for the ride, because signups don't mean anything. Remember that, but I do appreciate everybody's support, and just that little act of kindness and saying, you know what, we're going to support by signing up and help those algorithms move forward. That goes a long way, and I appreciate that so tremendously.
Yes, and I think the signups, and I'm going to disagree with you. I think the signups go a long way. And this is why I'm going to predict this. Another prediction.
Damn! Hold on.
Project We Love. Project We Love. I'm going to predict that the Project We Love, based on how many people followed it before.
Who's we? Yeah. That's what I want to know. Listen. Who's these we you speak of?
Hey man, I'm speaking French. But I'm telling you right now, Project We Love is happening in this campaign, and it's going to happen. I think maybe by now. I mean, this is the 3rd day. Yeah, by now I think you would have gotten it.
Wow, now, brown cow. Yeah, that's crazy. Man. That is just crazy.
Those signups are very important, and I think that we don't realize how important they are until they are important. And like Sam said, sign up just because you signed up to the pre-launch page. It doesn't mean you're going to pledge. It doesn't mean you have to pledge. It doesn't. It doesn't mean any of that.
Right.
But you did get reminded. Obviously, if you signed up, you did get reminded of the campaign. And if you are waiting, maybe you're waiting for the end of the campaign last 2 days, which is fine also. But remember that if you did sign up, okay, Sam, and you let Sam know that you signed up, you got a PDF of an image, okay?
Right.
If you do decide to pledge, and if you've already pledged, what will be added to the package that Sam is sending you is a printed copy of said PDF that was sent to you. So that's exciting.
Bam.
That's exciting, right? You're going to get a printed version of this, and nice. Is it cardstock?
Yes.
Nice cardstock paper.
Stack.
It's going to fit right inside of your
If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay. All right. O.J. Simpson trial, circa 94, 95.
I don't know. I remember where I was when that went down. I remember when that went down. I was it was like everyone was in shock. Like,
that was during my college years.
Yeah, man. I was like, yo.
That's right. But also, I know Sam's got that going on. Don't forget to check out getyourmeds with a Z.com. Getyourmeds.com with a Z. Check that out. Check that out. I have books like Russ 5377, which I don't show enough love to.
No.
Good old Russ, 144 pages. Action adventure. Yes. I have single issues of the book as well. I have single issues if you don't want to jump on for the full ride. You have single issues. And of course, The Adventures of Wonder Duck is also on there.
Yeah, so he pushed the bald head kid aside for the duck.
That's right. And I have t-shirts. Believe nothing t-shirts.
Yes.
I have those bad boys in there.
You play with us.
Listen,
put them down.
Listen. I'm like, woo. Yes. So check that out. Go on the website.
Check out my melody.
And let's get it rocking. But let's talk about, Sam. Actually, you know what? We have a sponsor. We have a sponsor for the next segment of the show is brought to you by Story Comics. Go for it, Sandy.
Get Your Meds is brought to you by Story Comics. Story Comics is a podcast that focuses on people behind the words. The host, Bonnie Smith, interviews comic creators of all types and their works and tells stories about comics, comic-based stories, and all other forms of prose storytelling. We've been streaming our show online since 2019, and it's been amazing to see how many people around the world have come to appreciate and value hearing stories from people who are just as passionate about their work as we are. So if you're a comic creator yourself, or you know someone who is, or if you just want to hear about how your favorite book or comic books are made, come check us out. Storycomics.com. Oh, you like that, baby. How you like those
now you got to read it with that voice every single time.
I know. Now it's time to get your meds. Let's get it.
It's time for your medicine.
You've been terminated.
Project terminated.
What's up with that?
Bro, it happens. Big shout out first before we get into it. Big shout out to Barney over at Story Comics. Make sure you check out his podcast and his website. He does great interviews with indies just like we are doing here. So you definitely want to check that out. But yes, Sam, Project Terminated. Now, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago on our Morning Brew show, and we had a very nice discussion about it. You guys should check that out. Go into the archives and check out that podcast. But yeah, Project Terminated. Listen, man, it happens. And when I say that, and for those who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, so I signed up to newsletters for my fellow indies. You have newsletters that you guys send out, updates about your work and stuff like that, which I think is very important for people to have. Make sure you're doing that if you're an indie. Try to start a little newsletter. Well, I received an email from an indie who, and I won't say who it is, but I will say that it was a very heartfelt email where he talked about, and I'm going to quote, "Anyone who has created comics knows it is a labor of love that requires a tremendous amount of time and energy. His project, or my project, I should say, I'm quoting still, did not build the audience I had hoped for to justify that investment of time and energy. I have learned from other creators wiser than myself," and this is a quote, "learn to fail quicker," end quote. That was what was said in the email, and it got me thinking. Damn. Now, the businessman inside of me agrees with him 100%. You know,
Right.
investment of time and energy, investment of money. Is it worth investing into something that doesn't build an audience? The creator in me kind of says, F that, man. If you want to create, keep creating. Don't worry about that. But what do you think, Sam? What's your take on a project that gets terminated because maybe there isn't an audience for it?
See, I think when an audience of one is enough motivation for me to move forward. But circumstances are individualized, right? So my circumstances are not your circumstances. So I think there's a lot of other factors that are involved that led to that decision because he's a talented creator. I mean, I have the first issue of The Wanderer.
Beautiful
I
book.
love The Wanderer.
So much for not saying who it is.
Oh, sorry. My bad. The newsletter would not tell everybody who follows him. So, my bad. I'm not that bright. Remember that. So,
Well, you probably weren't paying attention when I was blabbing. When I was just blabbing.
He's like, "Yo, the judge is right there. Don't talk." Well, you know what? What am I talking about, Eddie? My name. Don't say my name. But
yeah.
Where do we go, George? Where do we go? So, I love the book. And I think again, we all go through. I mean, there are moments in our lives where we are challenged with making hard decisions. I know back in 2008 when I walked away from comics, that was the hardest decision of my life, and I walked away for 10 years. And so I don't know what those circumstances are. It's hard. This game that we're in, it's difficult. It gets harder and harder every day because what happens is, and I think it said it, we were talking about it somewhere yesterday, I think with our guest, where companies want the finished package. They don't want to invest anymore. They want it done. They want a foolproof package. They want, if it's a series, they want all the issues done. They want it packaged. They want to know that you have a fan base. They want to know that you have some sort of revenue stream. They want you to do all the work before they come in and ride that wave. They don't want to be they don't want to do upstarts anymore. And that's what's happening. And so when you have now an oversaturated market of independent creators, thank you, COVID and the lockdown, because everybody who wanted to create comics who couldn't because they were working full time. Once that lockdown happened, there were a lot of people who had a lot of time in their hands, and they said, I'm going to go and do my comic. I'm going to go and do my podcast. Now the market's saturated. So having to filter through all that on top of it, now it's just, it is the industry's market now, because there's just too much surplus. So they can be pick and choose, and they can say whatever they want. Where now there's too much product, but not enough demand. So what happens is when you have someone like this, who's a family man, who has responsibilities, all that stuff, you got to put the family first before you put your passion and your dream. And, I can relate because I had to do that, when I walked away for 10 years.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely, everybody's got different circumstances and everybody has different reasons for doing what they're doing. Now, listen, if he also went on to say that he has other projects that he wants to put out there. So there are other projects that he wants to work on. I think that when we go into this, we have to go into it. We have to make a decision, right? Are we doing this because we want to continue doing this and we want this to kind of pay the bills, quit our jobs and do this, not just as a hobby, not just because we love it, but because we want to, make a living out of it? Then I think we have to be realistic and we have to pick and choose the projects that we think are going to get us to that level. Some projects will, some projects won't. Mm-hmm. He made an executive decision, made a business decision, said it's not the audience that it's not building the audience I wanted. I have to step away from it as much as I love it and go on and do something else, which I totally respect and I totally understand. I think that also the genre that we're in, right?
Yeah.
I think it's in trouble. I think it's in trouble. I think unless executives find a way to sell this to kids, and I was talking to actually Aniba about this, and I just think that it goes from Captain Underpants and that age group, right? And then there's no in between anymore. It just goes from that to video games, and that's it. There's no in between. There's no sweet spot where we can say, hey, the books we're putting together for kids or for young adults or whatever, those are the books you want to read. No, kids are now going into their phones and playing video games or on TikTok, or they're going to their computers and playing video games with their friends, in other places. So, and you see it. You see Discovery Plus, HBO Max. They've terminated a lot of their kids programming, right? Because kids aren't watching TV. So those factors also come in, not just the saturation, like you were talking about the market, but also the age groups and who's buying these things.
And if you look at like The Wanderer, for instance, that book, I love the book, but it also looks like The World of Quest, which was something that Jason Cruz created that was picked up by Kids WB, ran for one season, and then dropped. So maybe people in the industry recognize that. They said, we've seen that concept before. That's not something that we're willing to invest in. It failed back then. We're not going to try to make something that didn't work the first time work again. It could be that, because I see a lot of creators on Kickstarter that are trying to be the next Calvin and Hobbes, that are trying to be what, they're trying to be carbon copies of something else or whatever it is. And because it worked, right? Just like right now, the trend is nudity and, and all that other stuff, right? So I think I think there's two different mindsets. You said it in the beginning when you started your statement. You said, you gotta ask yourself why you're doing it. I know you, I know me, I know we do it because we love it. We've been doing it since we were kids. It's been part of us since we were kids. I have the most fun when I'm creating, and I love being at Comic Cons. Kickstarter is Kickstarter was the supplement for not being in the stores. Still, Kickstarter for me is a way to get into consumers' hands because I'm not in stores yet, right?
Or conventions. I think it took the place of conventions.
Exactly. When I'm at conventions and people see the product, that's where I'm golden. That's where I have the most fun. And so, but passion and reality, sometimes they don't gel. Sometimes you're passionate. I'm not doing it because I'm expecting to be, Disney. I'm doing it because I love this story, and I'm hoping that, people will love it. Like, I light up when I see kids light up and they read it and they enjoy my book. I love creating kids content stories because I grew up with kids content stories, and I'm just it's doing what I was influenced by. But again, it's tough. It's tough. We see it all the time. I mean, we've been in the game. I mean, we've known each other since 2003. We've been in the game for so long. We've seen how many cats have come and gone, just, vanished. It is a tough, it is a thankless, ruthless industry that we're in, and people get swallowed up. They come in with these high hopes and aspirations, but the reality check of, I have to be a business person. I need to understand my finances. I have to be an accountant. I have to pay taxes. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to deal with the publishers. I got to deal with the promoters. I got to deal with this. I just want to create, right? So then a lot of other stuff gets half-assed. And what happens is now you start focusing on, I got to promote. Now your project gets later and later because you're spending more time trying to promote. You're spending more time trying to do all these other things because you have to, because it's just you or whatever it is. Then next thing you know, your deadlines have been moved, and then you never finish the product. And then eventually you're like, you know what? People walk away from you because, like, hey, you only had that one issue. I thought this was going to come out last month.
Yeah.
Shit, that stuff happened.
Yeah, no. And I think, back to the genre thing, I think three things are always going to sell. And I think in any industry, in any entertainment industry, I think sex, drugs, and violence are always going to be at the forefront of what's selling, right? You throw some sex on the cover, people are going to pick it up. You talk about drugs or whatever, people are going to pick it up. The vices, right? Violence, boom, yo, dude, I got to go check out that violent ass movie. I think the kids market, though, I think that is taking a huge hit because we say it and we sound like old men. Kids aren't allowed to be kids.
They're not allowed to be kids.
Kids aren't being kids anymore. Like, not the kids that we were. You know what I mean? Like, I like going out there and playing playing tag and manhunt with my friends and going outside and playing sports. Saturday morning cartoons. That was my thing. I was a kid. And I'm still a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we were kids. I think kids today go, like I tell you, go from that, little kids books right into Fortnite, right into, video games where you're shooting each other, you're at war, shooting each other. So they go from one extreme to the other, and there is no middle ground. Whereas where we grew up, the middle ground was where we grew up. GI Joe, Thundercats, Voltron. You know what I mean? Those cartoons, they don't exist anymore. They're not allowed to exist. They're being taken off TV because kids aren't watching them. They'd rather go on a computer or on a phone, TikTok, that kind of stuff. So that impacts a lot, especially for guys that like to do what we like to do. It impacts what we're doing. But you know what? I'm like that little engine that could. I'm very stubborn. I continue to put the product out, and I'm just hoping that there's a turn. There's a turn, and
yeah, I believe 100% if of consistency, focus, dedication, will eventually pay off. You just don't have any control of the timing, right? You don't know when or whatever. You could just control what you do. You could what your output is. Control your output and control your intent. If your intent is pure, and because everyone's going to pick up on whether or not it's a gimmick. Everyone's going to know what you're doing it for. I love what I do. I love to draw. I love to create. I'm having fun. I'm getting better every day. I'm learning every day, but there's also that fear, the reality, right? There's that fear in the back of my mind. Is it sustainable? At what point does the fork and the road meet? When does the revenue come in to balance off the commitment and sacrifice and the grind, right? So that's that hard reality check where you're always looking at that clock, right? It's tick, 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 tick. Money's running dry. I got to get a job. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to pay this. And that's the simple truth. I mean, we were talking offline about a guy who had a Kickstarter, $50,000 raised on Kickstarter, still has a full-time job, has a huge following for the books, still has a full-time job. Right. So it isn't the end all be all. And I think people think, that, the Kickstarter is going to make me a millionaire. No, that's not it. The millionaires are taking Kickstarter and making millions from it. So you got the Keanu Reeves and you got the Wesley Snipes that are coming in and with their books and whatever. And they're just monopolizing the game. I think you just got to, if you're doing it for passion, don't give up your passion, and even if it's doing it on the side, even if it's 1 hour a day, just try to invest that time because it eventually will pay off. Eventually it'll pay off. For me, the biggest thing is when I see the kids, they read the book and they say, I love this thing, the book. I can't wait for the next one. That's, for me, that's more than gold.
I think as an artist, and even to a certain extent as a writer, there are certain characters or certain stories that we are stubborn about not giving up. There are certain stories that we are more passionate, or certain characters that are more passionate than others. I think for you, Duty and Disney Animatory, I think that character is one of those characters that no matter what happens, you're going to continue to draw it because you just love drawing it.
Yeah.
There are other stories that you may say, you know what, I'll see what the feedback is on that, and depending on that, I continue to do that. And a lot of it is based on what the creator of the Wonder was saying was there's a lot of, you have to spend a lot of energy. You have to spend a lot of time creating these things, and you don't have time to do everything. So you have to kind of pick your poison, pick your battle. And sometimes the passion, the one that you're passionate about, is the one that you're going to continue to do, even if it's not making the sales that you wanted it to make. It's still going to continue to be created. And I listen, at the end of the day, we all have to make a decision. What works best for us is what you're going to do. I'm of the mindset that I'm gonna continue to create, and I'm gonna continue to draw because, or not draw, but create and write because it's what I love to do. It's just what I love to do. Do I have different stories that I want to put out? Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I'm gonna continue to put stories out. I think that sometimes you got to make a decision, and you gotta you gotta kill your babies, as they say, when you're creating. But I don't think this is the end for the creator of the Wanderer, and I hope, and listen, you're welcome to come on the show, and we'd love to talk to you about.
No, the invite was there. It's not ready to come on.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Whenever he's, that's what I'm saying. If he ever is ready, the invite is open. So to discuss and talk, and that would be great. But yeah, man, that's Get your meds, son.
That's it, man. That's a sensitive subject. It's tough because it's personalized. And when you talk about your baby, it's a hard conversation.
That's right.
But
That's right.
you know what? You got to do what's best for you and the family. And at the end of the day, hopefully, everything works out at the end. But so we have a guest who's in the waiting room, and before we bring him in, we're gonna remind you why you should subscribe and hit that subscribe button to catch the craze. But we're not gonna tell you ourselves because you don't want to hear from us. But we're gonna let our previous guest tell you.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you gonna do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
If you are an independent, catch the craze. Making moves on your own, catch the craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the craze. Join the movement, catch the craze.
Welcome, Gary, to the show.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, Gary? How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us here on Catch the Craze. Stargazers, we're going to be talking to you about that in a few minutes. But before we get started and we go into it, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just, introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Gary Chong. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I've been enjoying comics since I was a kid. I fell in love with it since I was about 5, reading old Marvel comics, DC, Image Comics, fell in love with that stuff. And I've been writing for about 5 to 10 years, just making up my own stories. And I eventually, I stepped away from it when I was a teenager, had my other passion, which was music. And I was doing that for a couple of years, producing, making beats and stuff, but I fell back in love with it in around 2017. I got back into comics, and I just decided to, just take the plunge and, just come strong with my own idea.
Gotcha.
So,
no. And I know you have like when you were younger, you moved around a little bit. You were born in New York, family's from Jamaica, I believe, right? And now you're in Virginia, right? Is that correct? Is that the right timeline? So growing up as a little kid, what were the comics you were picking up? I know you said Image, DC, but specifically, what were the titles that you were like reading and you were like really into?
Right.
Okay. Savage Dragon, The Max, Daredevil, a little bit of Sleepwalker, and a lot of X-Men.
Well, you said Sleepwalker, not too many people say Sleepwalker, and I remember because I think that series came back out in 2015, but there was a Sleepwalker series that came out like in the 90s, like way back in the 90s, and I remember picking up like a few of those issues, and I thought it was a cool comic that they didn't do enough with. You know what I mean? It was such a good book. It was such a good book. So the Max, man, like that's Sam Keith, right, Sam? That's the Max. Right?
Sam Keith.
They had an MTV special.
They had an animation. Yeah.
Man, those are fire. I love those.
Dude. Do you think that those kind of stories inspired the writer you were going to become, or that you are today? Do you find a lot of inspiration even in those comics till today when you're writing?
Yeah, definitely. When I go back to those stories and Image, the early Image stuff, it was just so different. It just caught my eye as a kid. I've never seen anything like it, and that kind of inspired me to make the book the way I'm making it. In a graphic novel style, and 108 pages, weird panel frames and stuff. I'm just
that's what's up.
Just trying to come with something different.
Do you as far as the production, of the book and that stuff. You mentioned graphic novels. Is it going to be just graphic, and there are no single issues, 22 pages? You're going straight into graphic novels?
It's going to be one of 4 books. Each book is going to be about 108 pages or so, and maybe a prequel story, depending on if the audience is digging it. You know, it all depends on the audience.
So young Gary, right? Young Gary, take you back to young Gary. What do you remember the first like character you created? Do you remember that far back?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know what? I used to draw comics, you know, when I was a kid. I used to make my own comic books, and I can't really recall the characters. It was a lot of generic superhero stuff, but I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, dude. So you drew back in the day. When did you stop drawing?
Right when I got to high school. I quickly realized like I was an okay artist, but I wasn't gonna cut it professionally.
Same. Happens to all of us. I think there comes a point where you're like, all right, that's it. I think I think this is where I hang it up. This is where the pencil ends.
It usually happens at portfolio review. You're like number 10 online, and you're watching everybody else. Like, you look at their books, and you're like, you know what, I'm out.
Let me go write
it
something.
happened like that. I saw a couple of artist sketchbooks, and I was like, wow. Okay, I'm definitely not at that level. So
it's the hard reality, man. It's the hard reality. So you started writing comics. You left comics, went into music, started producing beats. What genre? What was it? Was it hip hop? What was it?
Hip hop, a little bit of R&B. Just locally, you know.
Yeah.
And I love doing that, but that's very time consuming, and and you have to have a lot of good connections to make it in the industry. And you know, I dabbled with it for a couple of years, and you know, I left it alone. Came back to the comics.
What year was that? Like around what time? What time?
I would say 2010.
Yeah. I asked because, you know, hip hop changes constantly, R&B changes constantly. So I was wondering what the time frame was. You know what I mean? Because it does change. It changes. I was watching that. I don't know if you watched that documentary on Kanye West and how, you know, his come up story. And it's like, damn, we all wish we can come up that way, and it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that at all. Do you incorporate some of your music or some of that creativity into the comics that you write? Do you have like soundtracks in your head for your comic or things of that nature?
Oh, definitely. Like I listen to like other rappers and producers, and I listen to their instrumental, and that kind of forms scenes of what I'm gonna write in my head. Like Rock Marciano, West Side Gun, Elzai, stuff like that. Yeah, it gets my mind going. So I like listening to that when I write anyway.
Yeah. What's your writing process like? Do you go right into a script, or are you writing notes? Are you writing outlines? What's your writing process?
I do a short summary, and I write everything out by hand. I never touch a keyboard until the final process. I do a short draft, come up with something cool. And then I'll write up some scenes I have in my head, some key moments, and then I'll put it in a script format.
Yeah. No. Full scripts you're writing, right? Panel 1, panel 2. Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. And then off to the artist.
Yeah. And then when he sends me back the art, I work on the dialogue.
Oh, okay.
I see his art.
Interesting. All right. So you're sending them scripts with no dialogue, or you change it after the fact?
Oh, I change it out. It's very minimal dialogue, very almost generic stuff until I get it back, and then I put my touch on it.
Interesting, man. I love that everybody's got a different process.
Yeah. So why that approach over like the traditional approach?
It's too constricting. You know, I think this format allows for the art and the writing to just be 100% in sync, you know, because I feel like if you just send a full script to an artist, he just goes off of that. And if you never touch the dialogue again, it looks kind of weird when the letterer gets to it and you see the final product. It to me, it doesn't connect 100%.
Gotcha. So you send it out to a letterer. You have a letterer that does the work for you. Okay. Do you does he ever like say, hey, this is not going to fit on the panel? Like, do you want to cut that down, or like what's your back and forth with your letterer once you make the changes? Because when the artist draws it, he may not leave enough room because, like you said, there wasn't the dialogue was very limited. Now you like, oh man, this looks good. He may say this, but now the words don't fit in there. What happens when something like that occurs? Do you go back to your letter and say, dude, this is what we're going to do here?
Yeah, like I trust the judgment. If he tells me, oh, this is not going to work, I'll rework it and we'll find a happy medium and we'll get it squared away.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often though, but when it does, it's smooth,
How long does the book take you guys to produce? Like, what's your time frame for producing a comic?
Oh man, well, this first book, we've been working on this book since 2018. So it's just been a slow grind, because I have a 15-month-old daughter, and
congratulations, man. Congratulations. You ain't sleeping.
Yeah, we just put it down.
All right.
Yeah, so it's tricky, man, trying to balance family life and actually get time to dedicate to this book. And but we're almost done though. We only got 24 pages left, and so I would say the next book is going to be a lot shorter now that we've got a lot of hurdles out of the way.
Right.
So,
but see, I think that, and me personally, I'm a huge fan of the graphic novel. So I think that that's the way to go. And the fact that you've been working on this, 108-page monster, and you have 24 pages left, that's great, because it is a process. And I think that when you're writing single issues, and I don't know how you're writing the story, but when you're writing single issues, you're writing 22 pages at a time, right? So you're writing 22 pages at a time. Are you writing did you write a 108-page script, or did you write that in like chapters, so to speak, or in segments?
Yeah, I broke it down into about 4 24-page issues. So it's like it's every 24-page marker. It's a new chapter. You could say it's a new chapter. So I broke it down like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Did you do that for money reasons? Like, is it because printing a comic is more cost? Is it more cost effective to produce it as a graphic novel? I guess is my question.
Yeah, I think so, because and from what I've noticed, a lot of readers, they don't really like floppies anymore. They really want a complete story. They don't want a cliffhanger, and they're hesitant to back a Kickstarter because of that. Because like, okay, I get invested in issue 1, but where's issue 2? Like, I don't, it's like, so they rather get a graphic novel. And I don't know. I think it's more cost effective printing wise, and people don't mind paying $20 for a graphic novel. Especially if it's well produced, they don't mind.
It's funny. You mentioned the whole thing about people saying, well, there's issue 1, there's issue 2. Same thing used to happen when we started doing conventions. It was always that question of people, hey, okay, you had the first issue. How do I know I'm going to get the second one? Because that's the question, right? That's the stigma of the indie, is that they'll come up with a first issue. They may not come back with a second issue. So I totally understand what you're saying when it comes to that. But so tell us a little bit about Stargazer, man. Stargazers. What's the story about? How did the idea come? Where did the idea come from?
Oh, honestly, I was trying to find this kind of book. I was looking for a book that kind of dealt with like a space opera, but had martial arts and action in it. And everywhere I went, I went to every local comic book store in my area. I was trying to find a book like that. Nobody knew. It was like, no, I haven't come across a book like that. I haven't seen anything like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just write it. Let me just make one up. And it's a merger of a lot of different ideas. It's martial arts. It's got some space adventure to it. It's got science fiction, a little bit of politics, a little bit of social commentary all mixed in. But it's definitely worth the investment. It's definitely worth it.
I got you. So in this image here, Gary, who is this character here?
That is the protagonist. That is Sage Hawkins. He's from Buffalo, New York. He's 17 years old at this point. He's basically trying to rescue his father, who is across the universe. And we have a prologue that's about 16 pages to catch everybody up. There's a planetary attack that happens on Earth from Rusum, the antagonist of this story. He gets a warning that there's a suzerain popping up in that part of the universe, and a suzerain is basically a god, you know, basically on that kind of level, someone who could challenge him, and he doesn't want that. So he sends the planetary attack to Earth to kind of erase that. But our protagonist's father, Dennis Hawkins, he essentially ends and stops this planetary attack. But in the process, he ends up getting captured. And we pick up with Sage here, and he finds a distress signal from his father. And that's when he gets the motivation and the urge to go into space to rescue his father. So cool, we kind of wrap that up in this first book.
Awesome. And so whether the martial arts aspect comes in, is he a martial artist or?
He learns martial arts. He has a teacher who happens to live in his neighborhood in Buffalo, New York, and she's a Cuban immigrant, and she's about 30, but she's a badass with martial arts. She's nasty. She's like, you know, she could teach Bruce Lee a thing or two. And Sage, he wants to learn martial arts essentially to protect his family. He lives in a very dangerous neighborhood, and he wants to learn it for a righteous reason, and that's why his teacher, Flora Miami, she decides to take him on and teach him this mystical martial arts. And he is also hyper intelligent, so he's able to learn this martial arts in about 7 years, and it takes the average practitioner about 20 to master it. So he uses this skill to help him on his journey.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the first book is basically he's going into space, and then the story progresses. And we find out whether or not he's able to save his dad or bring him back or rescue him. Okay. All right. That's cool. And so the first Kickstarter is just for the first 108 pages, which covers what you just talked about now. Roger that.
Essentially, yeah. There'll be a lot of surprises in this book. A lot of cool bonuses too. We're going to do a variant cover to this first book, and we'll also have an exclusive poster to the first 200 people who sign up for this Kickstarter.
Oh, nice.
A secret perk in there.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I like that. And so how did you find your team? How did you find your artist, your colorist, your letterer? Like,
man,
where'd you find
that was a journey, man. I started on Facebook. I started on Facebook groups for like comic book creators and comic book artists looking for work. And I found my first artist, Carl Blasio. He's from the Philippines. He essentially did about 70% of the book, but unfortunately he had passed away in August of 2021 from COVID.
Oh wow! Dude.
Yeah, so that was a big blow to the project, and I had to step away for a second to figure out how we were going to move forward. And I found another artist, Juliano Bobs. He's from Brazil, and his style kind of matches up with Carl. They're very similar, so I felt like that could be a good way to keep the book going. And he's a great artist, very talented guy, and he's definitely going to see us through to completion. And we're going to put a dedication in the book for Carl. You know, he's well beloved guy, very nice guy.
Yeah, no, man, that's Did he also do the colors in the book? Was he doing everything at that point, or did you then find a colorist?
He was the penciler and the inker.
Okay.
And I had my colorist. I found my colorist actually on Facebook too. He's Anton Polsky. He's a Ukrainian, very talented guy. He's also a good inker. I found him on Facebook, and he's been rocking with us since day one.
Nice. Yeah, no, it looks good, man. I think that you know, you're gonna do well. As far as the time frame for the campaign, I know you had said maybe sometime in October you're thinking about launching this. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that soon.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
hopefully. Hopefully people are digging it.
So when you do launch it, what did you put as where people can expect to receive the product from you?
We're projecting March 2023. The book is almost completed. Once we get these last 24 pages in, we just get it lettered and colored, and we'll send it off to the printers. So definitely March 2023. That's the goal.
Got it.
Outstanding. All right, so this is where we're at the stage of the interview where we're going to give you the screen, and you're going to deliver your elevator pitch. Why should people sign up for this campaign, and then why should they come back after signing up and back it, and then how can they find you on social media? So I'm going to give you the screen, and it's all you.
I appreciate it. My social media handle is on Twitter is Right Peaceful. You should definitely back this campaign. You're going to get a complete epic book. It's going to be a lot of action. You're going to love the story. You're going to love where we're going to take the character and on their journey to outer space. You're going to love it. And if you sign up now, you're definitely going to get an exclusive perk. We have a special poster, limited quantity signed, and you guys will love it. And the elevator pitch is basically, we have a young boy, Sage Hawkins. He's looking to rescue his father, bring him back to Earth safely, and protect his family. So if you love that idea, please back it.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Outstanding. Now, I see the Infinity Glove on that poster behind you. I don't recognize the face. Is that Thanos?
No, that's MF Doom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a custom image.
Awesome. Yes. I was like, I see the gloves, I see the gems. Awesome. Yeah, but thank you, Gary, for being on Catch the Craze. We wish you a lot of success. I hit that sign up button in support of your campaign. So again, if you're watching this, if it hasn't launched, sign up. The link is in the summary, and then go and show up when it launches. And when this airs, just let us know if anything's changed, the launch date, whatever. We'll just add that link, and we'll put that in the summary as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, definitely.
All right, my brother. Peace.
All
right. So that was Gary Chong. Again, it's Stargazer's Sirius Book 1. The link is in the summary. Go and check it out on Kickstarter. Again, this is why we do it. So if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you have any comments, any questions for Gary, put it in the comments below. Help those algorithms help us, right? And yeah, another fantastic show. And if you want to be a show on Guest on Catch the Craze podcast, all you have to do is hit the link in the summary and sign up.
Absolutely. Yeah, big shout out to Gary. Thank you so much for coming on. and talking to us about Stargazers. Funny, man. He's like, I went into comic book shops, asked them if they had a book like that. They said no. I said, I'm going to write it. So good for you. Good for you. Exactly. Good for you, man. So much luck and success with it. And don't forget to sign up. You're going to get a perk. Make sure you do that so that you can get that free perk when it launches. But yeah, man, that's all I got for today, Sam.
That's all we got. And if you haven't done so already, please back Designated in My Toilet right now on Kickstarter and get your duty on. With that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Jima Medina.
And we are it's just easy. It does not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right? This is what you were thinking? Oh, he described me. He said, I'm the
what? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.